has absolutely no calories, won't put a millimetre on your waistline, and will now be a delicious addition to weekday mornings. Starting Monday at 10:05 with the very first episode, indulge in vintage EastEnders, all part of a new look to the mornings on BBC One.
Good afternoon, hope you're feeling good. Let's walk a bit, let's talk a bit, and let's watch a little bit. In fact, loads of good stuff coming up this afternoon. A special Jackanory on its way very shortly indeed, so don't go anywhere. Robinson Sucro twitters with the songbird of the island, very tunefully, so I'm told. Rolf's back with the delightful Animal Hospital. More happening there at 4:25. Hot news, gang, it's back, and it's a choice show and a top children's BBC drama, Mud. 5:25 for that. And Blue Peter at 5:10 look at new movies for half term, which I think is next week. But first, not your normal Jackanory, because Andi Peters now announces the winners of the Jackanory Book Week Review competition, which was at last year's Big Bash in Birmingham.
I used to think nurses were women. I used to think police were men. I used to think poets were boring until I became one of them.
So, who else is one of them poets? And what does it take to be a writer? What books do you recommend? All this and much, much more is coming up in the next few chapters of the annual.
I first started writing when I was about 16, and I thought that I was going to be very serious and very, very literary. I read some poems by D.H. Lawrence, you know, those poems that are called things like Snake and Elephant, and there's one called Bat. And so I wanted to write about a moth, so I called it Moth. And then wherever it said bat in the poem, I scribbled that out and wrote in the word moth. And then I sent it in, and it was printed in the school magazine, Moth by Michael Rosen. But really, it was a bit of a cheat, wasn't it?
I've always written, and I used to write poems and stories, and I used to keep a diary when I was a teenager. So I've always been writing anyway, but then I started writing for publication when I was 28, and I just love reading, and I thought I'd like to make up my own stories.
I was 10, and I was in a school down in Liverpool, you know, Catholic boys' school, packed to the gills with boys, and I was hopeless at everything else. But I found I had a talent to write. And a teacher told me that I'd copied what I wrote. And I said, I haven't copied this, I wrote out my own imagination. He said, no, you haven't. Boys of 10 don't have this imagination. You're lying. And I said, I'm not. He said, if you tell me that you're not lying, he said, I'll cane you. He said, but if you say you copied it, I'll let you sit down. And I said, I'm not lying. And he caned me. And he proved that I was a good writer.
I wanted to be a professional footballer. And I went over to England and I signed on for a football club. I signed on for Fulham. And they were in the first division then, and they had Johnny Haynes, the England captain, and they were a big team. At the end of a year, they got rid of me. They're now in the 4th division. But having got rid of me, that left me alone in a bedsitter in London. Now, I'm 18 years old, I'm alone in a bedsitter in London, and in my own place at home by the mountains of Mourne, I've left the girl I then loved. And that's what started me writing.
I get my ideas from things that I read in the papers, or maybe I go out to schools a lot and talk to children, and sometimes there's one particular child messing around in the back or something, and I think they look interesting, and so they never know that I go away and make up somebody based on them, but it's quite good fun to do it that way.
I sort of listen to conversations when I'm not supposed to, or just things I hear, things I see, things I read in a newspaper. They come from anywhere, and then you just get an idea and think, oh, that would make a good idea for a story, and then I try and make a story out of it.